There should be a prescribed place for counseling with the needed infrastructure, and make sure that you don't conduct counseling during odd hours. This is required. The place is free from all disturbances. Coming to the role and behavior expected of a counselor. The counselor has to conduct counseling sessions at the prescribed timings. For example, plan your session well and conduct the session according to the convenience of the person. Maintain the timings. Greet the client initially. Offer a seat. Be polite. Show respect. Sit very near to the client. Maintain optimum physical distance. Introduce yourself properly. Explain the ethical issues of confidentiality, especially. Plan your counseling session properly. Look at the person and talk. Encourage the person to talk more. And don't exhibit any sign of exhaustion. Don't give false promises. Observe the feelings, emotions of the client. Respect the personality of the client. As far as possible, call him by name. Don't dominate the conversation. Don't be argumentative, but to have a point to mention is not wrong. Avoid long silence and give ample time to respond to your questions. Don't accept any gifts. Follow the dress code if prescribed. Don't call the person over phone, especially in odd times. And don't make a note of the proceedings in front of the client. These things are to be followed. If you are a counselor, the first thing you have to do is maintain the timings. When you say that you are meeting the student at 10 o'clock, you have to be there at 9:45. If the student comes late, no problem, but you should be on time. You have to introduce yourself. Offer a seat to the client. Have a small talk. When I say small talk means, where are you from? How did you come here? Breakfast, these are all questions. Then talk to the person. Sit very near to him. Look at him while talking. Listen to him very carefully. Don't write anything, whatever the client says. If you think that you cannot remember certain things, you can make a note of the points only, but don't write anything else. Assure confidentiality. Explain the ethical issues also. Talk less and allow him to talk more. Don't dominate the conversation. Don't take the personal phone number of the client, or don't give your personal number also to the client. Don't call the client during odd hours. These things are to be followed by the counselor. You have to maintain a separate case file for every client. Make sure that there is privacy. Privacy means it should be nobody should enter into your counseling room. This is what you do. Then what type of questions you have to ask? There are certain questions which you can ask. There are certain questions which you should not ask. Ask very simple questions. To the point. Nicely worded. And use good language. Ask at any given time one question only. Avoid combining many aspects in one question. Questions must be timely, wisely framed. Don't ask questions that are very, very difficult to answer and very difficult to recall the past also. There should be coherence and orderliness in your questioning. Talk less and listen more. Avoid, as far as possible, closed-ended questions. When you say closed-ended question, mean the questions which will yield either yes or no answers. Yes or no, agree, disagree, happy, not happy. This type of questions are to be avoided. Your questions must be open. Open means you ask a question in such a way that will make him think and answer rather than giving monotonous answers. And these questions are to be asked. This is how you have to ask questions during the counseling session. But there are certain questions which you have to avoid in counseling. Very lengthy questions are to be avoided. Leading type of questions. Leading type of question means a question which will make the person to give a particular answer only. You are bringing him to that particular answer. This is called as a leading questions. Double questions. Ask only one question only at a time. Teasing questions, bullying type of questions, insulting type of questions should not be asked. These are the questions which you have to avoid. Then, effective listening. Counselor has to talk less, listen more. Listen to understand rather than to reply. Avoid signs of distraction. Do not interrupt when the person is talking. Hold your temper. Listen with concern. Look at the person and talk. God has given us 2 ears to listen more and only 1 tongue to talk less. So counselor has to talk less and listen more. Coming to observations, you have to keenly observe. What observation has to be given? Observation is a skill. You have to observe him physically, his physical appearance, his level of energy, the emotional aspect, the facial expressions, the eyes, the way of sitting, the relaxed mood, those things are to be observed. And how the client reacts to the counselor also has to be observed. Any negativity, any positivity, any neutrality, these things. All put together, we say non-verbal communication. These things are to be observed. This is how we conduct a counseling session. The counselor is expected to follow all ethics. When I say ethics means confidentiality of the information, privacy, and informed consent. These are all the most important ethical issues. Confidentiality means tell him that whatever information he gives, that will be used only for the case only. It will not be made known to other unconcerned persons. Then only the person will be very, very open to explain all the problems to him. So this is how a counseling session has to be conducted. The next one is the process of counseling. Broadly, next. No, next. No, not the okay. Thanks. Process of counseling. There are 3 stages of counseling, 3 steps in counseling which you have to follow. One is rapport building. The second one is exploration. And third one is action plan. Make sure that your counseling session is within the prescribed time, 1 hour or 45 minutes. Now, what do you mean by rapport building? How it has to be done? For example, you have to attend the client, receive him properly, have a small talk, conversation of personal matters like have you taken food? How did you reach this place? Have a pleasant smile. Listen to the feelings, concerns, and problems of the individual and accept him, show empathy. All put together is stage 1. Stage 2 is exploration. That means going into the depth and understanding the problem, exploring it, problem identification, and making a diagnosis at the end. This consumes more time. Ask questions, get information, ask open-ended questions. At the end, identify a probable problem. What could be the problem at the end? Make a diagnosis. Your diagnosis is more important. The next one is stage is action plan. This is thinking of the alternate diagnosis, taking a decision, supporting the client. All 3 put together is the action plan. That means there is a definite process involved in counseling. Systematically, it has to be done. You have to use that 45 minutes or 1 hour session properly. Follow the system and definitely you will arrive at the right results. Coming to next is, there are certain unethical practices in counseling which you have to avoid. These practices are not to be attended. For example, client dumping. Client dumping means it is a practice of unethical practice on the part of the counselor. So what he does, he discontinues the service abruptly when the problem is not solved. In the middle, you stop the whole process and say that everything is over. This is called client dumping. The help is not complete. You are still in the process of helping. The client knows that it is not complete. But still, you don't like the client, you say that everything is over, you go. This is called as client dumping. Leaving him in the middle, or telling the client that goals have been reached, or referring the client to another service provider. For your problem, I am not competent person, go to Bangalore and go to this person and he would give you help. Somehow wash the responsibility, see that he is sent out. This is the most unethical practice on the part of the counselor. When he is inefficient, when he is not able to provide help, or when he doesn't like the client, this practice is likely to be evolved. The second unethical practice is, the first one is terminating the service in the middle is client dumping. A dual relationship means client is having another relationship with the client. For example, You have only one relationship with the client. He is the person who requires help. He is the client. That is the only relationship we have with him. If the relationship is something else, if you are a friend of client, if he is a business partner of the client, that is called as a dual relationship. This is also an unethical practice. A client is only a client only. We cannot have any other relationship with him. This is unethical practice. The third one is involuntary client. We have certain clients, for example, an alcoholic. He doesn't want to receive help. He is not very cooperative. He is negativistic. Even if you provide, if you say that we are providing help to you, and tomorrow you may refer him to an authority for help, go to this de-addiction center. That center will provide you help. So you are giving a direction to the person to go to a de-addiction center. He goes to the center for help, not with interest. Because you have compelled him to go, he goes. He is not approaching the center voluntarily because there is an official order is there. So he goes to a center for help. This is another unethical practice. Persons of this kind are very, very difficult to be treated. Unless the person is cooperative, unless the person is willing to approach on his own, whatever treatment you give or whatever service you give, that will be of less use. Next is violation of confidentiality. This is the most unethical practice out of the four. The client will give you certain personal information with the belief that you would keep it confidential. When I say confidential means that information is available only in the case file only. No unconcerned, no other person other than the counselor will have access to the file. This is called as confidentiality. You have started the case with confidentiality only, with that ethical issue. You have promised the client that whatever information he gives, that will not be disclosed to unconcerned persons. But if the court asks for details, you have to give. When the court says give the case file means you have to give. That we have to explain to the person first. So we maintain confidentiality. Under certain case considerations, we have to disclose the information. This is called confidentiality. If you violate the confidentiality, if you publish the case in a journal or in a newspaper, giving all identifying detail, the name of the person, his problem, his photograph, you are liable to be prosecuted. So violation of confidentiality becomes a criminal case at the end. So one should be very, very careful. Confidentiality means confidentiality only. So don't disclose this information to any other unconcerned persons. Don't discuss these things very loosely outside. Don't discuss these things with the family members. You are a counselor, so confine it to that only. Confidential information. It may be very much privileged information of some persons. It may be the most important personal matter of the individual. That should not be disclosed. These are all unethical issues. Now, coming to family counseling, the areas where you practice counseling, I say that family life is very important to every individual. Family is the natural environment for the growth and well-being of all members, particularly the children. Every child has a right to family life. That's the reason we say that Institutional care is a symptom of family malfunctioning. When you talk about child care, we always follow one principle, that is, as far as possible, child is left to the family only. He should not be kept in the institution. Because institutional care cannot be equivalent to the care of the family. So hence we say family care, family life is very important to every individual. And you have mainly 4 characteristics on the basis of which we say that family is very, very healthy. One is cohesiveness, Vagattu. If all family members are together, either a joint family or a nuclear family, it's a sign of a healthy family. When there is open communication, that's a good family. Parents leading by example. If parents are model to children, that's a very good family. If there is a definite conflict resolution in the family, that's a good family. So one person has very simply defined what is a good family. A good family member means where all family members at least once in a day sit together and dine together is called as a good family. Family members ellaru seri ottige oota madidre, that's called as a good family. But what are the advantages of living in a family? One is family life means it increases the happiness, increases the level of satisfaction of the individual. Family life reduces the stress and anxiety. Finally, it improves the quality of life also. So family counseling is suggested where there is a stress in the recent past, where there is a serious injury, where there is a death, where children have behavior problems. In those cases, family counseling is suggested. One more point which you have to remember here is empty nest syndrome. Syndrome means it is a type of problem. Empty nest. It's a sense of losing responsibility. A sense of losing responsibility when children leave the home. Children, they have completed their education, they got married and they have left home. When they left home, the parents will feel a sense of loneliness. This loneliness is felt very much by the mother than the father. This is called as empty nest syndrome. Children, they have come, completed their education, they got married, they moved out of the house. We are left out. This is called as empty nest syndrome. So this type of family counseling, we have to tell people the importance of living together. So where there is a problem, marital problem is there, similar other problems are there, we have to solve all the problems. Marriage counseling refers to treatment of couple. Treatment of couple who have difficulty in getting along with each other. The aim of marriage counseling can be stated to be to arrive at a solution for the marriage problem that satisfies the needs of both the partners. Divorce is not a solution. Living together is beauty. Even family courts also want people to live together. A counseling is also arranged in the family court. There are counselors in family court. Their job is, their work is to bring both the partners together. discuss, try to settle the problems and live together. That is the job of a counselor. But in certain cases, it may not be possible. When counseling is a failure, the counselor writes in the case file that I have made sincere attempts, but it has failed. Now the issue goes to the court. But there are other issues are there where family counseling and marriage counseling issues come. One is HIV testing and counseling. In HIV testing and counseling centers everywhere, we have counselors. Here the client receives face-to-face counseling before he or she has the pre-test counseling. So what is this pre-test counseling? Pre-test counseling means giving counseling to the individual before sending him for testing. So counseling, the client receives face-to-face counseling before he has the test. There is a suspected case is there, you send him for test. We cannot compel a person to go for testing. You have to motivate him, you have to stimulate him, you have to encourage him. This counseling is called as pre-test counseling. When once the test is done, the client will receive post-test counseling. This is the counseling during which the client will receive his report. Those who receive counseling cope with the stresses better than those who have not received. So pre-test counseling means you tell him the importance of the investigation. Prepare him psychologically. Make him accept the test. This is the pre-test counseling. When once the report comes, when the results are positive, the counseling will be different. If the test result is negative, one has to adjust to lifestyle to prevent future HIV infection. If the result is negative, if the result is positive, one can prevent the spread to others and one can manage the health appropriately. If the result is negative, the counseling differs. If the result is positive, the counseling differs. So we have counselors in HIV testing and counseling centers. The counselor primarily gives pre-test counseling and post-test counseling. We have another issue where counseling works very well. That's called crisis intervention. Crisis means an unexpected problem, an unexpected, unanticipated problem. It is called crisis. For example, a suicidal attempt is a crisis. A suicidal ideation itself is a crisis. Especially in mental health, depressive cases, we have depression. In depression, one has to look for the futures of suicide. Depressives, generally, they have low mood. They don't have interest in anything. They come, they don't mingle with the people. They sit at home. They sit in darkness. These are all symptoms of depression. The last issue is they want to end up their life also. This is called as a suicidal idea. A suicidal idea, a suicidal attempt. Some people make attempts of suicide. Somehow, bachawagirbodu. So every suicidal attempt is a crisis. A crisis means an unexpected problem. unanticipated situation. Never expected that this thing would happen to me. I am expecting the gold medal. I am expecting the rank, but my result is declared failed. I am expecting rank and final result is failure only. Failure in the examination is a crisis. Failure in the love affairs may be a crisis. Failure in the business is also a crisis. A crisis means unexpected, unanticipated, unbearable problem. It is beyond his capacity to manage the problem. What is to be done? That time, giving a helping hand is called as crisis intervention. A person who makes an attempt of suicide, what is to be done? The best thing would always be take him to the nearest hospital and admit him. First thing. A person who makes an attempt of suicide or expressing suicidal ideation, what is to be done is every case is to be taken as an emergency only. Take him to the nearest hospital. Admit him there. See that somebody is there all the time with him only. Don't leave him alone. And make sure that there is light on in the ward all the time. See that there is no bolt in the bathroom also. All precautions are to be taken. And you should not talk about the problem. Give him encouragement. Talk about positive things. Tell him that the problem can be managed very, very easily and successfully. Create hope in life. Life is to live. Life is to live happily. All problems can be managed. This type of helping approach during that time is called as crisis intervention. When the person is in crisis, his mind doesn't work. He doesn't know what is good and what is correct and what is to be done. He is almost in a confused state only. That time, extending a helping hand is called as crisis intervention. Generally, they listen to the advice given by you. Say that I am here. Say that I am with you. And create a hope in him, in life. Tell him that the problem can be managed very, very happily. Our goal is to see that he is saved completely, because life is more important. Then after some time, when once the person recovers, then you explore the problem. Find out where the problem is. Find out how to manage this issue. And this is a procedure which we follow in crisis intervention. So counseling focuses on helping the client deal with overwhelming crisis situations by drawing upon their strengths and resources to get them through the crisis and return to a normal level of functioning, and in which a professional may take a more directive role because of the client's inability to help himself. Client cannot help himself. He is helpless. He doesn't know what to do. That is called as a crisis. Okay, but one more thing you have to understand. Crisis need not be negative things. Crisis need not be only sorrow things. It can be a happy occasion also. A person getting married and the marriage is fixed shortly, that is also a crisis. A person has to join a job in London somewhere, he has to go. That is also a crisis. So this is, when the person is not prepared well, that becomes a crisis. So crisis need not be negative, it can be positive also. But one has to manage the crisis. Death of somebody is a crisis. Death of a child to the mother is very, very severe crisis only. In a crisis situation, the person doesn't know what to do, where to go, nothing, helpless. That time, if you provide help to him, that is called crisis intervention. One more is family planning counseling for new clients. In family planning clinics also, we provide counseling services. In most of the family planning clinics, we have a counselor. Their counseling is a process that consists of 6 steps. This can be remembered with the word gather. Generally, this is followed everywhere in the world. What is gather? G means greet the clients. A means ask clients about themselves. Here, clients means those who are couple, those who are in the reproductive age. Just married couple or couple with 1 or 2 children also. When they come to family planning center, you have a counselor there. The counselor work is greet the clients, ask the clients about themselves, their experiences, their concerns, their intentions, current health and family life, all the things you ask them. Then T, tell clients about the choices. What are the reproductive health choices available? Reproductive health choices. H, help clients make informed choices. Tell them the methods of family planning, the merits and demerits of each method. Give complete information to the person. The most scientific information you provide, the latest information. Let the client decide what is good for him. So first is giving information and then getting the consent. That is called as informed consent. First you inform him, afterwards let them give consent or let them say no also. E, explain fully how to use the chosen method of family planning. If they have chosen A method, tell them about that. The last one is return visits are welcome. The person who is suggested a method, he can come and approach at any time for further help. This is the counseling process which is being used in family counseling centers, family planning centers. Now, bereaved counseling. Bereaved counseling refers to the person who is bereavement counseling, a therapeutic intervention to help clients cope with the death of loved ones. That is also a psychotherapy, a therapy. Please understand that we have stages of death. Preparing for death is a hard work also. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, he is a pioneer in the death and dying studies. He said that dying people often experience 5 emotional stages. When they say dying people means those who are going to die shortly. The diagnosis is such that their life span is very, very short only. Dying people often experience 5 emotional stages. I repeat again, dying people means those who are going to die shortly. It's called dying person. Probably in a month's time, the person is going to die because he has a cancer or he has some other problem. Now, what type of reaction you see from the patient? When you say that his life is only 1 month, the first stage is He has given 5 stages of death. Dying people experience 5 emotional stages of death. The first stage is denial. Denial means saying, no, it has not happened to me. No, I am not the person. The second, anger. Anger means, why it happened to me only? Why it happened to me only? Why this cancer has come to me only? Anger. The third one is bargaining, a sign of reasoning with death, seeking more time. They later realize that bargaining does not work. Preparing for death is hard work. Bargaining. Then they go for depression. When nothing works, depression starts. The last stage is acceptance, facing the inevitable after discussion with family and friends. First one is denial, saying no. The last stage is acceptance. In between, there are 3 more stages are there. But all may not pass through these 5 stages. That doesn't mean to say that every life has to end. One thing you have to understand, that the end is inevitable. In Western countries, we have religious leaders as a part of medical team. They are the counselors, medical team. Okay. They are all spiritual and religious issues are important to many dying people and their families. So bereavement counseling is after death. And we also have for dying people also counseling services are important. All 5 stages may not go through in the same sequence. One person may be having first stage, he may go to last stage also. They are all only possible stages only. So bereavement counseling means a therapeutic intervention to help clients cope with the death of loved ones. The depression will be more for first 10 days after the death. The 11th day, it is slightly reduced. Some more time, people will take care of themselves and they become active in other aspects. That means slowly over a period of time, the grief will disappear and they resort to normal activities. This is grief. Such treatment is usually focused and relatively of short term. This bereavement counseling will always be very, very short, and it is focused on that particular person and particular death only. This is called bereavement counseling. Now we have substance abuse counseling. Substance abuse. It is treatment given for alcohol and substance abuse. Treatment for alcohol and substance abuse includes 2 things mainly. One is the medical treatment, medication, plus counseling services. It can be in the form of behavior therapy. It can be in the form of group therapy also. Drug dependence is a very, very serious problem everywhere. So what is drug dependence? Drug dependence is a state of psychic and sometimes a physical dependency on a drug, which includes alcohol also. Drugs include alcohol also because alcohol is also a drug. There are 2 types of dependencies. One is psychic dependence. The person depends on alcohol or a particular drug psychologically. He cannot think without drugs. He cannot do anything without drugs also. His mind doesn't work without alcohol or drugs. That is called a psychic dependence. Physical dependency means his body doesn't work unless the person takes alcohol or drugs. This is called as physical dependence. In certain cases, we see both physical dependency and psychological dependency. Physical dependence can be treated easily, but psychological dependence cannot be treated so easily. Drug use is abnormal. When drugs use, when it becomes abnormal means it causes trouble. Trouble to whom? Trouble to self. When it interferes in the normal activities, it becomes drug abuse. When it causes organic damage, primarily to the brain damage, you require treatment. When it leads to social sanctions, when society boycotts these people, when people laugh at them, make fun of them, when it disturbs relations with others, when there are problems, when accidents are more, when the legal cases are more, this is called the after effects of drug abuse. So different types of drugs are given. It's a process of removing toxins from the body. That's what we say, detoxification. There are two types of treatment. One is a detoxification. It is in the form of giving medicines, administered medicines. This is to alleviate the withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal symptom means that is trembling of hands, not able to talk, not able to walk. These are all withdrawal symptoms of drug or alcohol. Detoxification helps. But the main treatment method is counseling services to the family, especially to the marital partner. So marriage counseling, family counseling is important. Unless the person is motivated, whatever treatment you give in de-addiction center will not be useful. Even the act also, we have a legislation for prevention of drug abuse and alcohol. Even the act also says that detoxification services are provided to the drug abusers. We have so many de-addiction centers. Detoxification is relatively easy, but counseling is very, very difficult. Most of these people, they receive treatment, they get discharged. After some time, again, they come back to the same center for treatment. The rate of relapse is more. Relapse means getting the same problem and again coming back. The person goes out for some time and again take drinks or drugs, again come back to the same center or different centers. Your counseling really works. Counseling the individual, counseling the family members, especially the marital partner. Changing the place of residence. Environmental modification. Change the person's place from one place to another place. Regular counseling. That definitely help. So detoxification and counseling services are done in de-addiction centers. The last one is employee counseling. Employee counseling, it is a method of undertaking and helping individuals who have personal, emotional, and adjustment problems that interfere the work performance. It's called, we have counselors in industries, industrial counselors. But one thing, empirically, it is proved that work and life both are important. Work life is important. Family life and social life are also important. There should be a balance. If there is a balance, then the person will be very, very successful. What is more important is the work-life balance. Balance both. Those who experience family problems that affect the workplace also. If people have family problems, the work life also is affected. If you have work life problems, then the family problems are also affected. Family also is affected. So you need to have a balance. Now, what is to be done? One author has given 3 solutions, especially for employees. If you follow these 3, definitely the tension and the stress can be brought down to minimum. What are those 3? The first one he said is, don't postpone your lunch. This is if you have the habit of taking lunch at 1 or 1:30 every day, continue that. So don't delay your lunch. Don't postpone your lunch. Whatever meeting you have, whatever assignment you have, attend to that one first. This is one. The second thing what he said is, don't work on Sundays and holidays. Sundays and holidays are meant for family life. Take your family for an outing. Be happy with the family. Don't work on Sundays and other holidays. The third thing he said is, don't carry office work home. Office work has to be completed in office only. Don't bring office work home and don't take homework also in the office. Be very, very clear. This is office work and that is home. If you follow all these 3 things properly, definitely he said the stress can be brought down to the minimum. We have in industries mentoring system. In IT companies and good industries, we have mentoring. Who is a mentor? Generally, the mentor is a very, very senior person, not belonging to the department of the employee. Suppose you are working in finance department, your mentor is there in marketing department. A senior person in other department is your mentor. He is assigned to you. You are really fortunate to have a mentor. What is it you learn from him? You learn work from him. You imitate him. You follow good practices of that particular person. You can share your problems with him. He is your guide. He is your mentor. So that is what we say mentoring. Protage means the employee who receives this service is called as protage. So mentoring is a senior position person. He provides through counseling. He develops the employee. He solves the problems of the employees. He will make him a good employee also, with all required competencies. When they say competency means that includes knowledge, attitude, and skill that is necessary for the job. You can learn from the mentor. So a mentor is almost a counselor. In certain other industries, we have counselors also on the payroll. A counselor's job is to see that employees' problems are settled. Employees, those who have problems of adjustment, those who have interpersonal problems, those who have problems pertaining to pay, all problems you can take it to the counselor, and that counselor will help you. So we have industrial counselors also. So friends, we have family counseling, marriage counseling. We also have school counseling also. We have counselors in the school also. In Tamil Nadu, recently they are introducing, I think, the position of a counselor in every school. We want counselors. The job of the counselor is different from the teaching. The job of the counselor is the development of the child. The overall development of the child. Make sure that attendance is good. Make sure that children do not have any problems. Make sure that children adjust well with the school environment. So this is the job of a school counselor. So those who are facing big life challenges, those who come late to the school, not following the discipline, those who are not able to get along with other children, those who have problems, all the cases the school counselor can attend, involving the parents, involving the teachers also. Most of these problems can be settled completely, and they can also take up developmental activities also. This is all about school counseling. Friends, this is the end of the session. If you have questions, you can ask me. Please ask questions.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, Amma.
I am Vaniyam. Sir, which are the different institutions giving these courses for counseling?
There are many universities. Kumpu University offers counseling course if you are from Karnataka.
Yeah, I am from Karnataka. Manasa, Shivamogga.
Manasa Nursing Home, recently they said they are not offering, but I don't know the details. Because I was a faculty member of Manasa